Hey everyone, Ben here. You may have noticed that this episode is 48, and the last episode is 46. That's not an error. I had 47 scheduled to record, then had to reschedule at the last minute. Didn't want to miss a week, so we're going a little out of order here. We're continuing with episodes 48, 49, 50, and so on for now. Then when 47 does get recorded, it'll get dropped in a little out of order, then we'll pick up after that. Nothing big for you to know, just wanted to make sure you weren't confused when I say... On this episode of Bite Sized, we are watching and discussing the 48th scene of the movie Twilight. For those of you watching along at home, that's from 1:11:53 to 1:13:51. And now, on to the episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to yet another episode of Bite Sized. If this is your first episode, here's what's going on. My name is Ben. I am your host. I'm watching the movie Twilight one scene at a time with a different guest every week. I take someone and give them about 90-ish seconds of the movie Twilight. We talk about it for a half hour with little to no other context. Speaking of guests, joining me today is a Twilight enthusiast and a social worker here to help me unpack the inner workings of Bella Swan. Hannah Hayes, welcome to Bite Size.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. How's it doing? How's it doing? It's a normal question that people ask all the time.
Yes.
How's it doing?
Doing good.
Glad to hear it. Let's kick this off. I'm going to ask you the first question I ask in every interview on the show. That is, Hannah Hayes, what is your history with the Twilight franchise?
Well, it was 2010. I was way too old for it. Like 21, I think. Mm-hmm. My friend was obsessed, and she's the same age. And I was like, you are a freaking weirdo. I don't know why you're so into these movies and books. I think there was just one movie out so far. And so she made me watch the movie, and then she was like, read this book, because I'm comparing all my boyfriends to Edward. And she was like, Team Edward. And it was really intense. And so I read the books, and then was the dork going to the midnight showings and just being a weirdo. And
what did Twilight have that appealed to you? Because normally I'm going to put this in a way that doesn't sound like I'm trying to age shame you or anything like
right.
that.
Yes,
but normally the majority of my guests on this show say that they first encountered Twilight when they were around Bella's age, junior high school, that sort of thing. And it was the relatability there that sort of got them maybe not drawn in, that's what brought them in, or at least what kept them. So what did you, as someone who's a few years past Bella, how did that appeal to you?
I think there was some social pressure. Like, my best friend at the time was just very obsessed. Yeah. She'll be probably listening to this when you release it, so I don't want to say anything too bad about her.
Okay.
She's going to laugh.
Because she doesn't have a podcast she can respond on.
No, she's just like a big fan, and I think now we both mutually like hate watch it and like find the cringe in it.
Sure.
But yeah, at the time, I don't really know. I think it was just like something to do. I was actually unemployed at the time. I'd like lost my job and really had like no money and like nothing going on. It was like, I almost said pandemic, recession time. So,
yeah.
A lot of us were whatever. I don't know why I got so sucked into it.
And yet you did. Yeah. And you tell me you still watch it to this day.
Yes.
Have you stuck with Twilight consistently, or did you leave it for a time?
Oh, well, so it kind of like moved into the like nostalgia, the queue, the like nostalgia queue,
yes.
like the rom-coms and like the One Tree Hills,
right. It started getting sorted.
Yes.
Algorithmically, Netflix started putting it there.
Yeah. It was like, it's getting colder. We need some cool tone, show vibes. So I don't think I ever left it.
Okay. That's good.
But then at some point, I don't know where we started, where it went from, this is fun and enjoyable, to I'm hate watching this now.
Yeah, for a lot of my past guests, that's more abrupt. There are people who did not engage with Twilight in any way for a very long time, and then came to it and felt that shift. It sounds like for you, that was a lot more of a gradual, a tonal change, though.
I mean, I remember going to, I don't think the final movie, I don't think we did the midnight showing. I think we did midnight showing for like New Moon and Eclipse.
Yeah.
And then the last two probably just like meandered into the theater at some point.
Eclipse will do that too, yeah.
Eclipse was the worst, yes. But yeah, I remember watching those like final movies and sitting in the theater and being like, what the fuck is this? Like, why am I still doing this?
And yet here you are.
Yes.
Now some 10 years later still doing it.
Yes.
Well, let's get into the scene we watched today. The brief overview is Bella rolls up to the diner, has dinner with her dad, and Charlie has 2 or 3 awkward conversations with different people. Let's get on into the scene. Bella drives her truck up to the diner. She gets out. Mike is there, and he's just sort of being weird, playing basketball, as I use lots of air quotes, with some guys out in the parking lot area, just
Seems
throwing
like it's gravel too, like a
yeah,
gravel
like
lot.
a lot of pine needles there on the ground. They're just playing a little keep away with a basketball, like you do directly in front of the door to the biggest restaurant in town.
The only restaurant,
yeah, you know, a very common place to be playing.
And she gets front row parking.
Oh yeah, a spot open just for her. By all rights, that it's so close. It looks like it should be a handicap spot.
Yeah, it really should be.
Yeah, Mike is there. He talks to her. I don't think Bella says one word to him.
No.
Arizona. Yo, what's happening? So you and Cullen, huh? I don't like it. I mean, I don't know, he just looks at you like you're something to eat.
I kind of like Mike in this scene. I think I've talked before a lot on the show. I'm very Mike sympathetic, and I don't want to talk about how much that is because of my similarities to Mike at that age. I'm going to avoid that relatability there. But Mike, the actor, I don't remember the actor's name off the top of my head. I think he's doing a very good job of being an awkward high school kid. He's not in the same movie as some of these other characters. He is in a more down the line sort of teenage rom-com American Pie type of movie.
Yes.
He's very awkward. He has this really good line I like where he's talking about how I hear you're with Edward now, and he goes, I don't like it.
I don't like it.
It's like, it's honest, it's a lot of fun, and it's a good line. She does not say one word to him.
Yeah, she doesn't even react really. She
doesn't really acknowledge him.
I didn't really ask you, bud.
Yeah, it's kind of rude if I'm being honest. I don't know.
Yeah, cool. Okay.
She walks inside the diner, but we don't really see that happen because she walks into the background of the diner. In the foreground of this shot, we see a diner patron being served what's called a veggie plate.
Right.
And that diner patron is the one and only Stephanie Meyer.
Yes. I was so honored to have her in my scene.
The one and only. Yeah. The creator of the franchise, the writer of the book, is there.
Yes.
Sitting
and they call her Stephanie.
Yes.
Here you go, Stephanie.
Just in case. It's weird. It is simultaneously too much and not enough. Like it is, they linger on her for a little too long. I don't know why they didn't give her something else to do, maybe a line to say, but she's just there at the bar with her laptop, eating what the waitress calls a veggie plate, whatever that is. Bella goes to sit down with her dad at, I'm pretty sure, the same table they were at in the last scene, which makes sense. That's,
it's their table.
At their table, everyone's got a different place.
It also has a very good, vantage point. You can see outside both windows.
You can.
It's in the corner.
And you can see Mike, who for the rest of this scene is just outside the window behind Bella. While she is walking in, while we are watching Stephanie Meyer get her food,
right.
Mike is just sort of standing there looking in, like Javert looking down on Jean Valjean. It's weird.
They're trying, I think, to juxtapose this child with this very sophisticated adult man that's just masquerading as a teenager, which whatever, that's, I could unpack that a lot.
For a listener behind the scenes, we're recording two episodes back to back today. The guest for my next episode is sitting between me and my current guest. But we'll talk about this maybe a little more in the next episode when we know what we're talking about. But these two scenes, this one and the next one, contrast each other a lot. And sort of, I don't know that this is intentional. I don't know that the filmmakers did this on purpose, but the next scene, we're going to see Edward come through a window. And in this scene, we see Mike blocked by a window.
The window.
He cannot get. There is a contrast, not of just Bella talking to her parents, but of these men who are interested in Bella and the way they relate to the windows between them and Bella.
Yes.
Is Twilight secretly brilliant, or am I reading too much into this? Mike cannot do what Edward can.
No.
And that's why he does not wind up with her.
Yes, even like the open window of his room.
Yeah.
We got some window stuff.
Yeah. So he hangs out outside playing basketball with some guys. Bella sits down with Charlie. Dad's there. He's already ordered for him. What a guy.
What a guy.
Hey, sorry I'm late. Biology project.
I ordered you the spinach salad. I hope that's okay.
You should order one for yourself next time. Cut back on the steak.
Hey, I'm as healthy as a horse.
I don't know if it's ever explicitly stated. I'm pretty sure she's a vegetarian, and I'm guessing that's like one of the 2 vegetarian options this place has. So that's nice of him, looking out for his daughter's preferences and stuff like that. He's
Sure.
I think that is his way of reaching out and trying to have some relationship with his daughter. Your thoughts as a professional social worker?
My gut instinct was that she is now, she's looking out. She's kind of nagging Charlie. Like,
Yes.
maybe you should have one once in a while, or
There is a lot of
something
that
like
in
that.
this movie of
Yeah.
Bella parenting her parents.
Yes, there's a lot of scenes with her. She just kind of like starts doing the dishes. She like
Yeah.
serves him his meal, and
Yeah.
the mom is like off living her best life, and she's the responsible one at doing school and
Right.
and that. So it's very much like staying in that kind of family dynamic of she's like nagging the dad to be more healthy, and he's not. I'm good with my steak here.
It's not a great situation for Bella, and it makes
No.
one wonder why she chooses to stay in Forks as opposed to going off to sunny Florida with her mom. I don't know.
Yeah.
It doesn't to me seem like there's a lot for her to stick around for in Forks. I don't know. Stability, I guess, not wanting to be constantly moving around, as is the life of a minor league baseball player.
Minor league baseball player, yeah.
Oof. One day we're going to get more into the nitty gritty of baseball representation in this movie, because it's crazy.
I wish I had more memory of the book and like the kind of what was going on before that. Like, did she choose to go to Forks, or was she able to go on the road with them?
Yes, she had the option. They were living in Phoenix, and then her mom's boyfriend got a job playing baseball in Jacksonville. And Bella had the option to go with them, with her mom and Phil, to Jacksonville, or to go back with her dad in Forks. And she chose Forks.
And why?
I
would want to be,
Yeah.
the good parking.
The good parking is a big part of it. I think if I recall correctly, it's a lot of her not wanting to move around all the time.
Yeah.
And there's no guarantee that she would be able to stay in Jacksonville. Moving ahead a scene, they are talking about how it's currently spring training for him. And I don't know what team he plays for. I think I looked it up once. Hold on, give me a second. He is assigned to play for Jacksonville, which, assuming this takes place in 2008-ish, the year it came out, was the AAA affiliate of the Los Angeles Dodgers, who do their minor league training in Glendale, Arizona, or at least did before up till 2009. I don't know. This is probably all going to get edited out, but this is a long, complicated way of saying the team he was playing for did not do its spring training in Jacksonville. So it's never stated, but we can assume that the next time we see Mom and Phil, they are not in Jacksonville. So they're going to have to move around a lot no matter what, even if he does stay in Jacksonville for a long time. I hope any of that made sense, because it did not go where I thought it was going to go.
Well, you were kind of had me for a second, because you said that they were something in Arizona. So like that would make sense how they met maybe in Arizona.
But then I saw that the
needed
Dodgers have had I was going to say the Dodgers do their spring training in Arizona, so it doesn't make sense for him to move to Florida. But then I saw that they've only been there since 2009, and I can't find where they were in 2008. So that was a real dead end of a topic I tried to bring up.
All right, that's okay.
Later on in, I think, the next movie, we see whenever Bella and Edward go to Jacksonville to visit her, Renee, in that house that's like right on the beach. And the idea that a substitute English teacher and a minor league baseball player could afford that house right on the beach is bananas.
Yes.
Because minor league baseball players do not get paid much at all.
Right.
Unless Phil used to be a major league player and he's like washed out now, so he's just like bouncing around the minors a little bit and he has a good amount of money to work on. That's a possibility. That's not what this is about. They're at a restaurant. We got to get back into that.
Yes.
I want to talk about my favorite part of this scene, the part that comes next, because the waitress, as she's dropping the meals.
Say, Chief, boys want to know. Did you find anything down by Queets River today?
And then we get to see the boys. And it's this group of like 4 old guys sitting at the next table over like 3 feet away. And I just have so many questions. Why does she call them the boys? I assume they hang out a lot and that's just sort of their gang and they call themselves the boys and everyone calls them the boys. And I wish this whole movie could be about them, these 4 old guys hanging out in Forks talking about these mysterious killings that keep happening.
Right. I know. And I feel like the first couple times I watched the movie, I was like, wait, what are we talking about? I didn't even know like what they were upset about.
Yeah.
They really didn't develop like Santa Claus, Waylon.
Yeah.
Is that his name, Waylon?
Waylon, yeah, that's him.
They really didn't like develop his character at all. So I didn't really have any sort of like buy-in for like, why do I care that this guy died?
Right. And then these 4 guys, the way I took it originally was, yes, they are concerned about their dead buddy Waylon and they want to know if his killer is being brought to justice. But there is also a part of it like maybe they're also worried about getting killed when they're out working on their boats or whatever it is they do. I just sort of want to know what their day-to-day lives are like because it appears that none of them are married and have really any family. It's just a bunch of cool bachelors who hang out at this restaurant with each other. I don't know. I want to know more about the boys.
I think that that part of the scene is odd.
Yeah.
It's like very sad all of a sudden. And then we just go back to...
But it's also like a fun bit of world building that speaks to... It's a little glimpse into the community of Forks outside of Bella and her immediate circle of friends, which is not something we get a ton of in this movie. So it is almost baffling to me that we get this little glimpse into... Wait, who are these weirdo side characters that we never seen before and never see again, but I want to know so much more
There
about.
must have been some extra like footage that they got rid of because it's very, very like forced or something. Like it's just kind of plopped in there.
Speaking of that word you just said, I think I'm going to retroactively make this a recurring segment on the show called Extra Extra. Editor Ben, please drop in the Extra Extra theme here. Extra! Thank you. Those 4 guys at the table are my extra extras for the show. For reference, one of my favorite things to do when I watch any movie or TV show is watch the background actors in the background who are doing just the wildest things and were clearly not told to do whatever it is they're doing. They are the most extra, the people with no lines that are more interesting and important than the people we're actually supposed to care about. But anyway, that's all my thoughts on the boys.
Yeah, the boys.
Or at least all that we have time for today. Speaking of boys, there's some actual high school boys playing around outside. And this transitions to the rest of the scene, basically, is Charlie and Bella having an awkward, if realistic, conversation about boys. And, Charlie showing an interest in his daughter and maybe trying to nudge her towards a relationship of some sort.
Looks like your friends are flagging you. It's okay. You want to go join them? I'm just going to turn in early anyway.
Me too.
Bella, it's Friday night. Go out. Looks like the Newton boys got a big smile for you.
Yeah, he's a good buddy.
He's a good buddy.
Oh, Mike, I'm sorry, bud.
Yeah, friend zone.
Yeah, it's all right, Mike. You'll get out of it eventually. Try not to make your personality all about that.
Right.
What about any of these other yahoos in town? Anybody interest you?
Dad, we can talk about boys?
Yeah, I guess not. I just, feel like I leave you alone too much. You should be around people.
I don't really mind being alone. I guess I'm kind of like my dad in that way.
Through your lens as a social worker, as a mental health professional, what do you see in this relationship, this father-daughter dynamic going on?
Well, okay, so Charlie is clearly very uncomfortable, I think.
Yes.
I mean, really throughout. I guess now that I'm thinking about it, you can see a lot of similarities between Bella and her father.
They
in
even
that
say as much.
she's very uncomfortable with the conversation. He's very uncomfortable with the conversation. And we see that a lot throughout the movies, I think.
Right.
Of him trying to broach subjects, her getting very uncomfortable, and him just kind of like bailing on it immediately. So yeah, I wonder what kind of upbringing Charlie had, and I wonder what things have been like for him since his wife left him.
Yeah, it's a very, I think I've talked about this before, but Charlie demonstrates a very classic emotional unavailability that's not uncommon of, American men of his age. That I as a man entering my 30s find myself starting to slip into. It's fun. It has its pros and cons, not letting the world know that you feel. But yeah, you can tell that there is they both clearly care about each other, but an unwillingness to let each other in.
Yeah.
And to, I don't know, allow themselves to have those sort of uncomfortable conversations. I feel like there is an underlying, and much like the Windows compare and contrast, I don't know how much of this is real and how much of this is me starting a podcast dedicated to overanalyzing Twilight, so I have to find something.
Some metaphors somewhere.
But there is this underlying, they don't want to dig too deep into this topic because they don't want to confront the fact that Bella may not be happy here, and that he is not providing for her he's got a roof over her head and food and stuff like that, but this is not the enrichment or social life that he thinks she deserves or perhaps even wants. And the more they talk about boys and stuff like that, the more at danger they are of coming to a hard truth like that. And as a good red-blooded American man, his job is to keep those feelings deep inside and not let them see the light of day until he dies.
Ben, have you ever thought about working in mental health?
No, this is me working on my own mental health.
Yes. And I think there's a lot. I think also, Amber and I, we see that in our work with predominantly...
Oh, who's Amber? We haven't heard of her yet.
Yeah, sorry, we have not heard of Amber yet. She's sitting with me. But, we see this a lot with our patients, predominantly male, a lot of first responders, veteran population. So, yeah, I think there's probably some of that too, that if I keep this box closed, I can kind of survive.
Right.
Whereas if you start delving into emotional stuff, then he's probably going to have to think about the trauma that he's experienced as the chief of police in this tiny town. And
what would you, as a mental health professional, recommend that Belly and Charla do to perhaps grow their or open up their selves to one another?
That's outside of my kind of experience at this point. Actually,
never mind then.
No, I'm just thinking of, I think he's the adult in the room. He needs to be the one to probably initiate that and create that comfortable space for her. He needs to be the one to initiate that vulnerability,
right?
In order for her to let her guard down, because she's really imitating him in a lot of ways, especially with her emotional
because
experience.
He asks her about boys and she basically immediately shuts that conversation down. She does not even want to start that,
which is probably pretty standard for a teenage girl, I would say.
Sure.
But then at some point, I think that's the kind of the burden of parenthood, is you have to navigate that, and he's not doing that work.
And we'll talk more about that next week, and by next week I mean in about 15 to 20 minutes.
Yes.
When we get there in our next episode. Let's start to wrap this up then. I'll ask the last question of the interview portion of the show. If you had to give this scene a name, what would it be? And this is also going to be the name of the episode, so make it good. And you told me you'd listened to an episode before, so you knew this was coming. It had better be extra good.
Oh my God. And I did not prepare for this.
Oh no.
I know. Oh, should we do spinach salad?
Okay.
I got you a spinach salad. That's his attempt at vulnerability or being authentic with his daughter.
Sure.
I'm caring for you this way.
And attempting to, show that he is paying attention to her. He didn't just order her chicken fingers or something like that. He ordered something that he knew she would want. And that's nice.
That's lovely, actually.
Yeah. Well, Hannah Hayes, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
If people want to find out more about you or follow you on social media, is that a thing? Usually, peek behind the curtain here, my guests on the show tend to be actors or comedians or people who want to promote their online presence If people want to follow you on Instagram
they
or
just
maybe
should not.
show up at your place of work, cool. Don't do it. Don't find today's guest
Do
on
not
the show.
look me up.
Great. Well, if you want to look up the show on social media, I highly encourage that you do that. You can follow the show on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at bitesizedpod_. You can also send an email to the show at myfavoritetwilightpodcast@gmail.com. Apologies to all other Twilight podcasts out there. Special shout out to listener Lisa, who did send an email to the show, saying, "Hi again. I'm still very much enjoying listening to your Twilight analysis scene by scene. Others had the same question about what was said, referring to a previous episode with Matt Nielsen, I believe. Y'all wouldn't know that. I don't know why I'm looking to you. But there is a scene wherein they're going out to surf at the beach, and one of the surfer guys says, we're paddling out Coops. And I was like, who's Coops? There's no one named Cooper. But Lisa provides a link to an online conversation and says she believes that he was saying Kooks, K-O-O-K, which is apparently surfer slang. I did not know that. Thank you, Lisa, for solving that mystery for us. You can send emails like that to myfavoritetwilightpodcast@gmail.com. All that information and more available at twilightpodcast.com. If you want to help the show, you can share, like, subscribe, that sort of thing. Tell a friend. Word of mouth is the best way to get it around. You can also go to twilightpodcast.com/store, where you can find 2 ways you can spend money on this show. You can buy a sticker of the show's logo or sponsor an episode. That's a new thing I'm starting to do. For the low price of $50, you can write a message, an advertisement, something like that, and I'll read it with my mouth to my listeners all around the world. All that information and more available at twilightpodcast.com. Thank you to my editor, Ben Oxford, for putting this all together. Thank you to the band Swimwear Department for letting use their song Mauled to Death as our theme. Thank you to Kellen Lutz, who has not heard me thank him yet, but by God will one day. This I swear. I'm putting it out into the universe that if I just keep saying thank you to Kellen Lutz every time I wrap up the show, he'll come on the show.
We just send him a bag of eggs.
Maybe. You get it. You don't. But that's it. That is all we have for today. That is it. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Bite Size. As we always say at the end of every episode,
oh God.
Oh God.
Oh no.
See you next time.
I don't know. Okay. See you next time.
So you and Cullen, huh? I don't like it.